let's discuss about another group of plants, that is pteridophytes. It includes horsetails and ferns. These are the first terrestrial plant. They started to live completely on land, but also it needs cool shady place, and the soil should be sandy in nature. Sometimes it is found in a sandy soil also. In its life cycle, the dominant phase is sporophyte. We have seen that in gymnosperms, gametophyte dominated, or both have shared the life cycle equally. But in pteridophytes, the sporophyte phase is dominant. And the pteridophytes plant possess true root, leaf, stems. These contain vascular tissue, that is tissue for conduction of water and food, that is xylem and phloem is present, and it was first it started to develop in pteridophytes, and hence pteridophytes are known as vascular cryptogams. So what is the meaning of cryptogams? Means it will possess true root, leaf, stem, just like plants around us, but it doesn't have flower, doesn't bear flower, and hence it will not develop into fruit, seed and fruit. Instead it will reproduce by spores. So it will have structure like plants, but it will reproduce by spores. In plants around us we have seeds. When we put seeds in the soil, it will germinate into new plant, but here the flowers are not produced. Instead spores are produced. From the spores new plants are developed, but the pteridophytes will have true root, stem, leaf. It is not a thalloid. Here it is a complete plant, as well as the plant possesses vascular tissues, that is for the tissues for the conduction of water and food all throughout the plant. So the leaves in pteridophytes are of two types. The small leaves known as microphyls, it is found in Selaginella, it's a plant pteridophyte. Large leaves known as macrophyls are found in ferns. So what is the difference? So the microphyls will have a single unbranched vein. It doesn't have any side veins, whereas in macrophyls it will have a branched vein. So it will have a branched vein. So the veins will be branched like this, but here the vein is unbranched. So let's see the reproduction of this pteridophyte. So the spores are produced in a structure called sporangium. The sporangia may occur as an appendage looking like a leaf, or it may be found in a distinct and a complex structure known as strobili or cones. So spores are either produced in a leaf-like appendage or a distinct structure called strobili or cones. In the case of higher order of pteridophytes, these strobili or cones are found. Example is Selaginella and Equisitum. So the spores will germinate into a gametophyte. So how the gametophyte is described here? It is multicellular. So it has numerous cells. So it is multicellular and it is free living. So here the sporophyte and gametophyte are not dependent. Here the gametophyte is free living and it is capable of doing the food production process, that is photosynthesis. It doesn't have true root, leaf, stem just like sporophyte, and hence the gametophytic phase of pteridophyte is a thalloid, and this kind of gametophyte is known as prothallus. So here the gametophyte is multicellular, it is capable of freely living, it can do photosynthesis, it is a thalloid as it doesn't have root, stem, leaf differentiation, and this is known as prothallus. The gametophytes need water for fertilization of its gametes, so it prefers to grow near cool, damp and shady place. So gametophyte, it has in the gametophyte, Antheridia and Archegonia are produced in the same gametophyte. So let's have this as Antheridia and this as Archegonia. So from the Antheridia, motile, that is flagellate anthrozooids are released, which is transported to the egg present in the Archegonia. This is the female structure. Antheridia is the male structure, Archegonia is the female structure. Inside the Archegonia, egg will be present. The Antheridia will release flagellated anthrozooids, which is capable of movement, and it is transported from the Antheridia to the mouth of Archegonia by water. So here water is needed for the transport of male gamete to the female gamete. So male gamete is anthrozoid, female gamete is egg. So once they join, fusion will occur, that is fertilization will happen. Again here haploid will combine to form a diploid zygote. So the diploid zygote will develop into sporophyte. The sporophyte will produce two kinds of spores. So homosporous. The homosporous species, this kind of sporophyte will produce the spores, all of which are similar in its nature. So homosporous type produce similar kind of spores, whereas heterosporous type will produce two kinds of spores. One will be large, that is macro, another will be small, micro. So larger one is known as megasporous, and the smaller one is known as microsporous. The spores produced are megaspores and microspores. The megaspores will develop into the female plant, gametophyte. This is a plant, female plant, and this microspores will develop into a male gametophyte or male plant. So homosporous type will have similar kind of spores. It will grow into male and female, whereas in heterosporous type distinction will be there. The larger spores will develop into the female gametophyte, and the smaller spores will develop into the male gametophyte. Another peculiar character is the female gametophyte will be retained in the parent sporophyte. So the female gametophyte will be inside the parent sporophyll, because this retention time will permit the growth of, it provide a favorable or suitable condition for the growth of zygote into embryo, which will develop into the sporophyte. This is the precursor stage. Nowadays we can see seed is present inside the fruit. So here also zygote is developing into an embryo. In the seed we can find the embryo, which will grow into the new plant once we are putting it in the soil, the seed. Same way, inside the sporophyll, the zygote will develop into the embryo. Embryo is the young plant which is capable of growing into the new plant. So this is the precursor to the formation of seed in the present day plant. So it is an evolutionary mechanism. Here the female gametophyte are retained in the sporophyll, which the retention period allows the development of zygote into embryo. The embryo later developed into the sporophyte. So the pteridophytes are classified into four classes here. So Coelopsida, example is Xylotum. Lycopsida, plants are Selaginella lycopodium. Sphenopsida, plant is Equisitum. Pteropsida, Dryopteris, Pteris, Adiantum. So these are the plants, and it is divided into four kind of classes. The classes are not discussed in detail here. So this is the general overview of pteridophytes.